Let's talk a little Notre Dame recruiting. There was a big visit weekend that went down, so we're going to bring in Mike Singer. And we got to start with wide receiver Kadon Finley because after this weekend, the 6'2", 195-pound wideout from Texas is trending to Notre Dame at nearly 95%, 94.9 for those scoring at home. Mike, are you getting the sense that after this visit, a commitment could be coming soon?
It's interesting because Finley told me in an interview after his visit that he's got more spring visits locked in. He's got some summer official visits, but my sources all calendar year have indicated to me that, like, man, Finley just seems close. Like, yeah, he does got these visits scheduled, but Josh, as we know, plans change.
Yeah.
A kid might have this visit scheduled, but they pop earlier than anticipated. I wouldn't be surprised if that's Kadon Finley, and if that is the case, I think that Notre Dame would be in a really good spot. You'll have to talk about Texas with his dad, Jermichael Finley, being a Texas alum, and so we're talking about a legacy prospect here for the Longhorns.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Notre Dame is doing a really good job in this recruitment, and I picked him to Notre Dame back in February. Steve Wiltfong has followed up after Finley's visit to South Bend this weekend, and I'm feeling good about that pick, but it's not done.
Yeah, and if they can add Finley, you and I have talked on this channel before that wide receiver is a very important position for them to fill this cycle. So if they are able to land Finley, where do you think they stand with how many more can they take at the position?
Yeah, I'd say somewhere between 3 and 5 is pretty standard for Notre Dame every year. But I had someone on our Blue and Gold message board ask me the other day, like, is there a more important prospect than Finley for Notre Dame? And my answer was like, I don't think the staff is sitting around discussing that. But if you're going to ask me, no, like, Finley is the top of the board receiver target at the most important position pretty much every year for Notre Dame. They just need to stockpile wide receiver talent. So you could definitely make the case that Finley is the biggest must get for the Irish.
Yeah, top 20 player at his position, so we'll keep track of that one. So, Mike, talk to Notre Dame fans. What other intel do you have from a busy recruiting weekend?
Yeah, would definitely urge Notre Dame fans to head to blueandgold.com for even more. But Mason James from Norman, Oklahoma, another talented four-star wide receiver. He's from Norman, Oklahoma, so it's going to be tough for Notre Dame to beat the Sooners, but he had a really good first visit from what I'm told. How about a potential flip watch? Maybe not anything right now, but the Irish are working on Zach Fort from IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. He's originally from Southern California. Bulldogs pledge, but Notre Dame hosted him over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Really good trip, and he's expected back over the summer for an official visit. Brian Bonner had a good first trip to South Bend, a four-star running back from California. And he hasn't set up an official yet to Notre Dame, but we do expect that to happen. And then Cincinnati St. Xavier linebacker Kobe Clapper, someone who Steve Wiltfong has previously picked to end up at Notre Dame. Really good trip. I believe that one's between Notre Dame and Oregon. And I just don't see the Cincinnati kid ending up in Eugene. I like Notre Dame for Kobe Clapper right now.
All right. So between reading your site, talking to Steve Wiltfong on the Wiltfong Whip Around, it just seems like recruiting is starting to heat up for Notre Dame. Is that, I mean, we were seeing these predictions roll in. Is that the sense that you're getting? I mean, are we lining up for a big summer?
Absolutely. And I think even a big spring around the corner. You do have five-star edge Rodney Dunham out there with the April 10th commitment date. And myself, Steve, and others like Notre Dame heading into that decision. But look, it's interesting because earlier this year, Chad Bowden, the general manager, leaves Notre Dame for USC, and then USC gets Trent Mosley, the double Notre Dame legacy, four-star wide receiver, and USC's getting this momentum. Notre Dame fans seeing their biggest rival, now Chad Bowden,
Yeah.
get all these kids, and Notre Dame hasn't had any commitments since the end of January, and it's like, all right, Irish fans, calm down. Like, the Irish have their new general manager, Mike Martin, revamped personnel staff. So still no new commitment since the end of January. It's a big one. Tyler Merrill, top 100 overall player and offensive lineman who committed to Notre Dame on the On3 Recruits channel. But I think it's gonna start rolling here, man. Like, defensive line recruiting is in a very good spot right now. You just look around the board, it's like, man, Notre Dame is in the top spot. I think they're
I know.
trending for a lot of guys. You're talking about those predictions, Josh. Keep an eye out for the Irish. Usually, Josh, they're at like maybe 2.5 times the commits they would
Right.
usually have compared to right now. So a little bit slower for Notre Dame adding commitments, but it's going to start rolling here soon.
Yeah, and that's why we've been talking more Notre Dame on this channel, because you can just feel that momentum starting to build. So Notre Dame fans, jump on board, hit subscribe, because we're not done talking Notre Dame. We're going to be here all spring, all summer. You can feel the commitments coming. Mike Singer from Blue Gold, thank you for dropping by with the latest intel after another big recruiting weekend, setting up for a big summer. Appreciate you, Mike.
Yep, anytime, Josh.